Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/itslayspodcast and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/itslayspodcast. And Xylia has a book to recommend this week.
So I'm reading Little Weirds by Jenny Slate, and if you want a book that's equally weird as this and drug-induced as this movie, you should definitely read this book. One page she's a croissant, the other one she's a backyard swimming pool with a twin sister that's an orange popsicle, and a mother that's a bowl of pickles, and a father that's a hamburger.
That sounds super weird. So if you want that book, go to audibletrial.com/itslayspodcast and get it for free as your free book.
You definitely want to do it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie? You sick fucks. You've seen one too many movies.
I said, don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm sick as a dog, Rowan.
I'm the croissant Xylia.
I'm that expired box of tea that you decided to still drink anyway, Mike.
Ooh, I like how we all had something this week.
Mine was a play off the book that I recommended. Check that out, Little Weirds.
Jeez, you think
it's an awesome book.
You think they were paying us to promote this book?
No, I love the book.
That's good.
But if Jenny Slate would like to get in touch with us,
yeah,
just DM at It Slate's podcast.
I thought you were gonna give like your personal stuff, and you're like, just ignore those two.
Yes, I'm gonna dox myself. Why not?
How's everyone doing? As I said, I'm sick, so if you're like, Rowan sounds terrible, it's because I'm getting over a cold.
I've successfully managed to not get sick, even though me and Rowan live in a room together. So that is a great success on my book.
I'm okay. We have a big rainstorm here today, so you can probably even hear it because it's like beating against the side of the house. It's very eerie. It's very suitable for, talking about horror movies.
Very, very spooky.
Monkey business.
Oh my god. Xylia, we're not starting with Tim and Eric references again. You try to do this every episode.
Start your own Tim and Eric spin-off podcast. Spin-off podcast number 9 right there.
Yeah, that's right. You better be keeping track of this, Patreon people.
Yep.
If you want access to those sweet, sweet things. So, question. Our episode, I don't know what episodic question. It's not a daily question. It's not a weekly question.
It's episodic, yeah.
Episodic question. I figured we're getting towards that dark time, especially in Mike and Xylia's retail life of Black Friday.
I actually have Black Friday weekend off.
Oh.
No, I'm not even gonna. I wish you nothing but fun and happiness and joy on that weekend.
Thanks. I have a baby shower I have to go to. I just did the special members event, though, myself and 3 others, and that was a joy.
Yeah. Yep, a joy. Just joy everywhere. Joy sprinkled like fucking pixie dust all over everything and everyone.
Your tone is so happy and
wonderful.
positive.
Wonderful.
Mike and I both work for the same company at current times. Good times.
So this is my question. I want to know, if you aren't working, do you participate in the Black Friday craze? Is there something you specifically look for on Black Friday? Like, some people are like, I gotta buy TV on Black Friday because they're cheap. Like, is there something you always look at? Maybe you don't necessarily buy, but you always check out to see if you can get a deal on it on Black Friday.
I actually, outwardly don't. I, protest it. I can't remember. I think it's, Buy Nothing Day or whatever. Adbusters put out, many, many years ago. And for, 10 years, I just, actively do not buy purposely on Black Friday.
How about you, Mike?
Absolutely not. I'm kind of similar to X. I don't like it, and especially since it was an American thing that came to Canada, and I just think it's, even, working in retail, I think it's, consumerist fucking bullshit. And I mean, listen, do not get me wrong, there have been a few times over the years when I have bought stuff, but it's only been like, say, a controller for my PlayStation or something. If I need something desperately like that, like I bought a video game a couple of years ago because it went on sale for like $30 off, but I will not be like, I need a TV, or I need to buy like a computer or a new bed or something. Like, it's just, I think it's ridiculous. If I need something like that, I'll get it when I need it or when I have money for it.
Words of wisdom from people that work in retail. If you really want the deals, wait like a week and a half to a month after Christmas, because that's when everything's like really on sale.
Yeah, you're only getting, what they want to sell you.
Exactly.
On Black Friday.
Exactly. What about you, Rowan?
What about me? I don't really. I always look.
You always look at electronics and stuff.
It's not electronics. I always look at Amazon.
You
I always have these dreams that I'm like, oh, maybe they'll have a sale on some Arrow and Scream Factory or something. They never do.
I feel like you look at TVs every year.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I have a TV that works fine and it's big. But
that's what she said.
I'm gonna call out Xylia.
Okay.
Because Xylia did get something last Boxing Day.
You mean Black Friday?
Or Black Friday, excuse me.
That?
You got Far Cry 5.
Okay, Rowan facilitated that, called me and said, hey, this is on sale. Do you want me to buy it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So that was me. I was actually at work at the time. He looked for the sale and then called me to see if I wanted to buy it. And I was like, yeah, I guess, okay.
I don't blame you.
I mean,
I probably would have bought it too. I still haven't played it.
It was on sale for like $20 or something.
Ooh, see, that's a good deal.
Honestly, I started playing it and I got to like level 1. And I was like, I can't play this. Sorry, Rowan. Like, you have to play the game.
I was glad
way too hard.
I was glad we purchased it because I did play it all the way to the end.
I like the story, but in terms
very
of
similar themes to our film this evening.
Yes, you're right.
I get really bad anxiety when it comes to like shooting games. I just like can't do it. So Far Cry may have not been the best option for me.
Yeah, that was fairly masochistic choice.
Yeah.
This is true. That was my question. A little softball for you today.
Thanks. No philosophical questions tonight.
No philosophical questions tonight. So I figure let's get right into it. It's someone's birthday.
Oh my god.
That's right, listeners. It's Big X Dog, Big X. I don't know. I don't really have that many X. DMX. That's not really like that.
No, that's awful.
That's awful. That's terrible, Xylia. Anyway, listeners, it is Xylia's birthday.
In only a few mere hours.
We are recording this on a Thursday evening, so Xylia got a birthday pic. Yay. So, Xylia, why don't you tell us what your birthday pic was?
My birthday pic was Mandy.
Woo! Mandy, we've been waiting on this one.
Yeah, I think this is one we've talked about doing for, like, ever.
I feel it was kind of up in the air at one point, like one of our first episodes of being Mandy.
Because none of us had seen it before this now.
I feel like we're probably the only people that haven't seen it.
I think it was kind of by design, though, because me and you were like, well, I don't want to see it until I review it. And I think Mike had said that as well.
Yes, yeah. So
we saw it.
And we're going to tell you how we feel about it. So let's get into the trailer. Mandy from 2018. We'll get into that trailer and then we'll be back with all the goodness that the It's Lays podcast brings you.
Under the crimson, primordial sky, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
I need you to get me that girl I saw. Do you know special one, Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be so very special together.
So what you gonna do with that thing?
I'm going hunting.
So what you hunting?
It's crazy evil. You think you're so in love? I'll show you love. Oh man, they wronged you. You exceed the cosmic darkness.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
So that was the trailer.
What a spectacular trailer it was.
You can't do the same joke every episode, Xylia.
It wasn't a joke. It was for real.
Yeah.
It was a spectacular friggin' trailer.
Oh, yeah, because you saw it.
Yeah, I've watched it like 10 times.
Okay. Listeners, what do you think?
I've definitely watched it 10 times in anticipation.
I think Xylia got caught telling a bad joke.
No, in anticipation of watching this movie.
Okay.
I've wanted to watch it for so long.
Who is and isn't full of shit? That's the question.
Rowan's full of shit.
Let me get into our beautiful IMDb bio. The enchanted lives of a couple in a secluded forest are brutally shattered by a nightmarish hippie cult and their demon biker henchmen, propelling a man into a spiraling, surreal rampage of vengeance.
That only merely sums it up on the surface.
Really, yeah, really. I mean, I guess at heart, that's kind of what it is.
But that's what I mean, but it's so much more.
Yes, but isn't the bio of Halloween like, a masked madman kills a bunch of babysitters on Halloween? Like, yes, of course.
So let's bring it up first. It is directed by Panos Cosmatos.
Or if you're Lindsay Lohan on that beach resort reality show, her best friend's Panos.
Panos.
So that's all I thought about.
If you're like, there's no way that is a real name, I am here to tell you that is a real name. I did a little research, and that is legit his last name.
Is he Greek?
He is Greek. So let's connect it to Canada. So his father is Greek. He's a Italian/American film director. But in 1980,
Wait, where does Greece come into Italian-American film director?
I don't know why I said Italian. I meant to say Greek.
Greek? Okay, I was like, what?
I'm sorry, people. I don't know these things. I'm sick. I get a pass.
Okay.
So anyway, in 1980, Panos' father, let me pull out the old trusty iPhone and I will tell you his father's name. His father's name is George P. Cosmatos.
Obviously George Panos Cosmatos.
Maybe. I didn't think about that. Oh, this is gonna get really weird. So let me tell you guys about what the Wikipedia says. Cosmatos was born in Italy to Greek filmmaker George P. Cosmatos. So that's where I was thinking Italy.
Oh, okay.
And Swedish sculptor. His mother was not a sculptor. She was a sculptor.
It's like in Mannequin, she was wearing a necklace that when they put it on her, she turned into a statue.
Her name was Brigitta Ljungberg Cosmatos, and in the early 1980s, they moved to Victoria, British Columbia.
Oh, interesting.
So, which would make sense, because Panos' first film, Beyond the Black Rainbow, was shot in Canada. His father is most well known because his father did the huge blockbuster Western movie Tombstone. So there you go.
I don't know that movie.
It had Val Kilmer in it and stuff. I remember actually liking it.
Yeah, it was a pretty big one in, what was it, like the mid-90s maybe, I think? Something like that. Anyway, I'm glad that we totally delved into his entire, like, fucking lineage.
Life story.
Yeah, his life story. So I thought it was interesting because it said as a teenager, he actually did film assistant work on Tombstone. That was his start in the industry.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But yes, Beyond the Black Rainbow is his first film. We haven't reviewed that. I hope someday we will. That's like one of my all-time favorite movies. I think if you've seen it, you kind of know what you're getting into when you deal with him.
I'm not gonna lie, love the score of Beyond the Black Rainbow. We have the record of it. I listen to it all the time. Love it. Love the premise. Love the visual. Everything. But I probably have not stayed awake past 20 minutes into that movie ever out of like the 6 times I've tried to watch it. So if we review it, that will be my challenge.
It's a slow burner.
The Xylia Stay Awake Challenge. I love it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, this is his second film. Another cool Hollywood connection is the production company that paid for it is XYZ Films. Xylia, me and Xylia always get in arguments because I say Z. I'm Canadian, I'm supposed to say Zed. I apologize.
It's a pet peeve of mine.
But this production company is owned by Elijah Wood. He is the one that funded this film.
Oh, I did see his name in the opening credits.
Yes.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them. He's kind of
We know Elijah Wood.
We know Elijah Wood. And on the bonus features, it was interesting because he talked about they saw Beyond the Black Rainbow, absolutely loved it. Had no idea about this movie. They contacted Panos and said, whatever your second film is, we want to pay for it. We want to put it out.
They said sight unseen. Like, they didn't even really care what it was about or anything. They just, like, had that much faith in him.
Yeah, so very interesting connection. And then I was going to say, there's not much to talk about acting-wise, I don't think. The only real name in this is Nicolas Cage.
God.
Oh, what about the guy from Commando and Predator? What's his
name?
Yeah. Bill Duke or whatever?
Yeah.
Wasn't there the guy from the
Rob
Zombie movie?
That's right. The guy that plays Doomshead in 31 was also in this. He played like the LSD maker towards the end of the film.
The chemist.
The chemist. Yeah, I forgot the guy from Predator was in this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a little cool connections.
And we love Predator. We love Commando. We love all the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger, trash fests. No, they're good. They're good. It's good trash. I say that with love.
Beautiful trash. We love trash. People already know this.
Yeah. As the phrase from that whole song goes, beautiful garbage. Am I right? Yes, we love whole.
So the first question about the film is, we already answered, this is the first time we've all seen it, but like, what was the lore? Like, were you excited to see it? Like, was this something on your radar that was like a must-see, or?
I was super pumped. It was torture to like wait this long.
Oh, absolutely. I feel the same way.
I did it for the podcast, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we're all in that boat, that I was super pumped. I mean, like I said, I love Beyond the Black Rainbow. I was like, oh, it's that guy. I have to see this.
Anything with those like colors, those really dramatic, beautiful like pinks and reds and stuff in the trailer, I'm like, yes, I want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. But to me, it was kind of like, having like a nice bottle of wine or like something like that you're saving for a special occasion. Like, we saved this. We didn't just go out and like, as somebody very wise once said, blow our loads too soon. And, we we built it up and made a nice like evening out of it. And it was worth it. Totally worth it. I quite enjoyed my screening.
I like that happy, positive note, so let's continue on that. Let's get right into favorite scene. What was everyone's favorite scene?
I can't even choose.
Xylia has so many, she can't choose.
It is difficult. I will say mine is not so much a favorite scene as like kind of a favorite swath of the movie, which was that idyllic part at the beginning when you know, they're just like talking and like cuddling, and it's kind of like showing them going about their lives and showing her reading her novel. And I don't know, that whole like half hour I just found to be completely captivating. Like she, you know, looking at her, she's so magnetic because she just has that like unconventional look, and she's got that charisma, and you know, just the colors and everything. It reminded me a lot of like Blade Runner in the like its serene moments, like with the music, and it was almost like a lullaby, even though I knew it was going to go horrifically wrong and just be like a bloody massacre. You know, the pacing of it just really took its time. It was just like honey.
I like that part too, and it's like very like romantic, and besides her talking about the birds and her dad,
yeah,
which is like traumatic, but can we please talk about that bedroom? That fully glass windowed bedroom?
It was amazing.
It was amazing. That is my dream.
The windows in their whole abode, I don't even know if you can call it a house. It's like a compound or cabin, or I don't even know. Like, what is it? It's just this.
It's a very magnificent
magical.
Like cabin.
That
it's like something out of
the
Saga
bathroom
or something.
tile. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, the bathroom tile.
The bathroom tile when he's in there with like after the traumatic event. Oh my god, I was like, that tile. I just like can't stop staring at it.
It was like candy.
It was. Why don't you tell us yours?
Why don't I tell you mine?
You're always last to go.
Yeah, geez, and I didn't really overly think about this because I also kind of liked all of it. I did really like most of the scenes with like the hell bikers, or what were they called?
They were called, I think, the Black Skulls or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Black Skulls.
The Black Skulls. I really liked the contrast of this like beautiful pink, blue, very Suspiria inspired lighting, and like this nice, beautiful fantasy. And then, like, that mashup with, like, this Clive Barker Hellraiser, like, feel where I was getting...
Yeah, that guy kind of looked like Pinhead in a way.
Like, I'm getting these, like, Cenobite feels, and yeah, like...
I mean, when they get introduced, it's just like the Cenobites getting introduced in Hellraiser. Like, it's clearly a nod.
So I really love that, like, the introduction into them. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, like, sign me up for the rest of this fucking movie. Like, I am pumped.
I also love how they're like, they are badass, but they also like, their introduction is them driving on ATVs, which to me, growing up in like a rural area with ATVs, or quads as they call them in Newfoundland, it's like a hick thing, right?
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
This is very true.
So it's just an interesting contrast because they're such badasses and they're just driving on these.
But I'd say that's definitely my favorite scene. It's hard to pick because, like Mike said, so much of it, to me, it's not about scene, it's about like mood.
Yeah, it's totally emotion.
It's like I said, anytime I see anything like this, my comparisons are always Argento or like a Renf type feel. Like, it's that neon color, and it just really pops. Like, it was literally like Panos knew what my favorite aesthetics were and then put it into a film.
Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, now, this does not always have to be the case. Don't get me wrong. But it's so important, I think, if you want to do something that really is striking and memorable and impactful, because film is a visual medium, to have an aesthetic. You know what I mean? And he absolutely has a fucking aesthetic that, you know, I mean, some people might say it's over the top, or all flash, and, you know, like style over substance, and all the same thing that they say about, you know, Argento and all those other guys that actually, you know, have a visual palette. But
yeah,
it's so important. Like, I mean, like you said, it kind of like cues your emotions and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, in a very explosive way.
And I was gonna say, Panos, I don't think disagrees with you, because, as I said before, I did watch the special features, and he talked about when he approaches a film, that to him, the story is second.
He said that he's fine with having a basic story.
Yeah, basic stories. To him, it was mood and visual, and like, you wanted to create that look, And that's really what drove a movie, was like the style.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You know how like at the end of trailers or also on movie covers it'll be like a quote by someone?
Yeah.
This is my quote. I wrote it last night. I just said, a visual delight.
Oh, Xylia, you might get added to the... Whenever they press
get,
more of these on Blu-ray.
Yeah, you'll be right at the top on the front.
Podcast.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful. Like, just, yeah, it's same. And I think I've talked about this maybe once. My favorite movie of all time is Enter the Void.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of neon colors, a lot of like, it's, okay, so it's also about psychedelics as well as Mandy. Is about psychedelics as well. So yeah, just like, it reminded me a lot of that.
It definitely visually is amazing. He's also very good at, which to me is what kind of creates the intensity in the film, is he's great at kind of just those slow transitions or holding on to shots just a little too long, where, you know, whether it's Nicolas Cage's face or something as mundane as like trees, we're just getting that shot so much longer than a normal director would give you. So it's like this really, he's very precise with like how slow he wants everything to be presented, which it did have, you know, that, to me, that same slow burn feel as Beyond the Black Rainbow. I mean, to me, I felt
like it wasn't nearly as slow paced.
You don't think?
No.
Well, okay.
Beyond the Black Rainbow is also like set in one like facility.
Yeah.
Where this like the scenery changes.
Well, I mean, Xylia fell asleep through most of the Beyond the Black Rainbow. It's set in all other places.
Oh, okay. I'll get to that point.
She's only seen the beginning.
Yeah,
it's like,
I told you that.
She falls asleep before the credits roll.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Can I tell you guys my favorite scenes?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a couple, so I'm going to keep with my cheating ways and tell you multiple scenes, and you guys can kind of like chat about them or whatever. One was like the very just like heartbreaking scene of her being burned alive in front of him when he's like also being tortured and has barbed wire in his mouth.
Yeah, that was brutal. That was
I would be very upset if that happened to you.
Oh, I'm glad that someone would cry over me being burned.
Oh my god.
This one person would be upset.
Yeah.
If she was forced to, like, you know, be tied up and witness the whole ordeal.
Yeah, exactly. Again, like you guys, I absolutely love anything with like the beautiful imagery. Like, those are all my favorite scenes. Almost solely because of that. I also really love the scene where he gets the chainsaw and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill this guy, and then this guy comes out and he has like a bigger chainsaw.
That's not a chainsaw. This is a chainsaw.
Exactly.
It's so funny because there were lots of kind of vaguely comical moments in that movie, and that was one of them, and I just thought, it's like, it's so absurd, right?
Yeah, exactly. He brings a chainsaw to a chainsaw fight. Like, I just thought that was funny. And then the last scene where he's like, it's not quite the last scene, but it's at the end where he's driving and he's completely covered in blood, and he like, it's after everything's like been resolved and he envisions Mandy in the passenger seat. I just think that's a really sad thing because he's gone through all of this stuff to like as revenge for her death.
Yeah, but and what does it end with? It didn't bring her back, you know?
Exactly. They're dead.
That trip to hell was still, you know, for what? Also that look on his face, that shot, like where he's just turned towards the camera, which is like the passenger seat. Oh my god.
And then he smiles,
yeah.
the biggest smile.
It's just complete, like, unhinged smile.
It is. I was like, literally, like, that's a Nicolas Cage face. I've been waiting this whole movie.
Yeah, exactly. Only he could have done that. Only he could have done it.
It's true.
It was an amazing smile. I did love it. And Xylia said exactly what I wanted to say. I was like, this is the face I've been waiting for. And it was worth it. I also wanted to bring up the soundtrack.
Yes.
Or the score, I think is a better term for it. I was pretty impressed with the score. I thought it was like this great meld of kind of, you know, his synth style that he showed in Beyond the Black Rainbow, but we had that like heavy metal tinge to it where we had like the guitars kind of come in. I don't know why, but every time I heard them, all I thought about was Mad Max, like the new one. Just like, obviously not that hardcore, but I love that mixture. I thought he did a really good job. I knew this had that heavy metal influence, and I was kind of worried about that. I didn't know how he was going to approach that, but I thought it was like the perfect balance. It was
actually like fairly
crazy.
Yeah. I also thought the score was brilliant, and I actually listened to the whole score today on Spotify, and like listening to it by itself is like, it's a fairly dark sounding score, kind of depressing, but it paired with the movie, it works so well. Also, the guy who did the score, I think his name's Johan Johansson. He actually passed away last year, so this is the last score he ever did.
Yeah, I remember seeing that when they were like releasing it. I think they talked about
They dedicated the movie to him, actually.
Oh, wow.
Very.
Yeah.
I mean, there were not many visual elements of this that reminded me of Blade Runner, but there were moments, like I said, when they were, you know, just sort of like living their lives at the beginning. I don't know why it kept reminding me of Blade Runner, but part of it is because the score reminded me a lot of elements of the Blade Runner score, which I thought was really cool. And I don't know if it was deliberate or not, but, you know, because it has all sorts of like really mellow moments too. And it's got that kind of, you know, I guess because it's set in the 80s, you know, it's got that kind of like dated saxophone-y, jazzy, new age feel.
That seems reasonable to me, because I also, when I was watching it, got a Blade Runner vibe. Yeah. Like, I did think about Blade Runner when I was watching it. It just had that feel to it. So, I mean, I 100% agree with that. We don't normally, like, overly bring it up whenever we do these episodes, and I don't know why. But I do want to talk about, like, is there anything we didn't like about the film? We're always such a positive group.
Mike talked about the woman who played Mandy and how like magnetic she was, but I found her appearance kind of unsettling.
I feel like maybe they wanted you to find her unsettling.
And it's not that I disliked it. I was just saying.
Yes, like, I mean, she had that like scar on her face, and her eyes were really.
And she
strange.
had like no eye. Yeah, she almost like had no eyebrows, or like they were very light in comparison to her hair. It works with the movie. It makes total sense. No, I really can't.
So Xylia's issues were the eyebrows.
Oh my god. I really can't think of anything I don't like, and I think when I rewatch it the second time, I think I'll like it even more.
Like I said, I just wanted to ask the question. I can't think anything.
What about you, Mike? Sorry, Rowan.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. We're so bouncing around anyway. Now that I think about it, I really wanted to like bring up Jeremiah and the guy that played Jeremiah.
He made me so mad.
I thought he did an amazing job. I thought he possibly did a better job than Nicolas Cage in this, to be honest. I thought he was really, really good.
What's your take on that, Mike?
Well, I mean, I liked his style in that it was kind of like cranked up to the max, which is what the movie kind of called for and what the role calls for. Like, you can't have a cult leader, essentially, in this cartoon, candy-coated, retro-futuristic horror movie who's, you know, playing it subtle. You know?
True.
And he was very over the top, and I enjoyed most aspects of his performance.
I love that you said retro-futuristic, because it's so contradictory, but also so, just...
It's right on the button.
Right on the...
That's
right
the
like,
vibe that I get, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's set in 1983, but it's also kind of, like, got this weird space age vibe to it as well,
It's true. Yeah, there's a lot of, like, galactic... Like, and they show Saturn.
Science fiction novel,
Mm-hmm.
and...
It had a very, like, Hubbard cover on
You mean
it.
L. Ron Hubbard?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how he's like, oh, what's your favorite planet? And she says, it's Jupiter?
Yeah,
Saturn. Jupiter. And then at the end, like, it's like the planet. Yeah, I thought that's a really good description, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And all I was thinking, so what I really liked about Jeremiah was I liked because, I mean, he did play it how I figured he'd play it. I feel like everyone kind of plays that religious cult leader kind of the same, but I really liked the turn, and I'll give him the credit and Panos writing it. Like, I like the insecurity and vulnerability that we also saw in him.
At the end, too.
Yeah, but we also saw it, like, in the middle, like when...
I guess when she's laughing at him.
When she's laughing at him when he's naked and he's kind of, like, freaking out, and then he's looking in the mirror at himself.
Oh,
and
that's a different time.
That was at the same time.
Was it? Because I'm thinking about when he's, like, trying to be all, like, culty, and then she literally just, like, laughing hysterically at him, and you can really see that insecurity. Because he's, like, pissed.
Like I said, I just thought he did a great job. I loved his costuming and everything. I thought...
He looked like Bret Michaels. Is that the guy that I'm thinking of?
That robe that he had on during that scene was pretty trippy.
And apparently Nicolas Cage originally was actually supposed to play him, and then it took a year in development for somebody to be convinced. I think it was Nicolas Cage convinced Elijah Wood, and Elijah Wood convinced Panos that he would actually be a better Red than Jeremiah Sands.
Yeah, I think Nicolas Cage just wanted to be the star. That's what it was.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but for like the first 45 minutes of the movie, he does a bit of cuddling and that's it. And it's all her. Which was brilliant, by the way.
Although I will say I would love to see the facial and acting choices Nicolas Cage would make as Jeremiah.
Also, would he go frontal? I'm just saying.
I think Red was like a much better choice for him.
I think he did amazing as Red. All I can think about is I'm like, would he be giving me that beginning of Face Off priest crazy?
Okay, that's like the funniest faces he's done.
That's like, well, that's the peak Nicolas Cage.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's like put it in a museum, Nicolas Cage.
What about Con Air?
Yeah, Con Air as well.
Oh,
oh my God. I saw it on TV one time, and then I got I actually liked it, and then I don't know if I've seen it fully.
So I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer.
Oh my
I do have some
Rowan.
nitpicks. I did have some nitpicks on this. So I did like the Black Skull bikers. Like I said, I love that kind of homage. I think is what kind of was happening to like Hellraiser and gothic horror, which this is really a gothic horror film. But I did find the more we got into them and the closer we got to them, I didn't think they looked amazing. And he did talk about that in the bonus features a bit, where he said darkness was kind of his friend in this film because it hides some of the imperfections in the filmmaking. But I thought like some of the close scenes, I just didn't think they looked that amazing. I was like, they kind of look like homemade cosplay.
Well, I mean, seeing the one guy, like, sitting down watching porno, I'm like, the mystique is gone. Like, I'm not scared of you anymore. Like, you're, like, whacking it, like, in a trailer.
That was also, like, the saddest porn I've ever seen.
It was 1983, right? So
there was no emotion. They're just like...
Is there ever any emotion?
Well, you don't know the context, maybe, like, before they started banging, it was like, oh, this is the love of my life.
I guess. Possible.
So yeah, like I said, I feel like my nitpicks were pretty minor on this.
Is that your only one?
No, I did have another one. I know Mike loved it. I didn't overly love the first half of the movie. I know I need to expect a slow burn with Panos, but my interest wasn't overly held. There was lots of elements I liked from it. Yeah, I don't know. Something just didn't click for me at the beginning, where I was just like, I don't really care about him cutting trees.
Okay, he cut trees for the first scene.
Like 10 seconds.
He's a lumberjack. It
yeah,
was just,
no, but
his
like
character.
literally like the first half hour, I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
So you didn't like the part that me and Mike liked.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fair. I think that's a valid criticism.
But it's setting up their like relationship with each other and like their life.
Their life. In the context of the whole, I don't overly hate it. But when looking at the scenes individually, I don't... That wasn't my favorite thing about it.
And I understand, because you're living with her for that first, like, half hour, really? To set up her loss, but she doesn't really do a whole lot. She reads her book at her job,
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I loved that book, and I really want to read it. It sounds fantastic. The prose sounds really cool, and I like the way that it set up a lot of the visual aspects of the movie as well.
And I thought what was interesting on the Blu-ray, they had a deleted scene that I thought added interesting context. I don't know why. I guess a lot of the scenes I noticed he cut kind of gave it a Rob Zombie vibe, so I think that's kind of why he cut it. But there was a whole scene where they go to that gas station. She goes in to buy something. Nicolas Cage is filling up. And then
she works there.
Yeah, but I think she's off or something.
Oh, okay.
And then a sheriff pulls up and basically obviously knows these two pretty well. And he's just shit-talking Nicolas Cage. And he's ignoring them. And, the sheriff's oh, you better not be causing trouble. But then he's oh, I heard you shacked up with that whore. And then he's very Rob Zombie, colorful language. And, being oh, I heard she sucked every dick ever. And he just goes on, and Nicolas Cage makes some really great faces in it. Because he's pumping gas and clenching his fists and making these weird ass faces. And then the scene ends. Yeah, it was kind of bizarre. But I thought it was interesting because Panos, obviously, when she talks about her father and stuff, wanted us to know, she had all this trauma. And I'm assuming the original script, it was kind of the whole town knew this couple and he was supposed to be trouble too. And
yeah, I was reading that he used to be was an alcoholic, and they both were dark people in the way that they had a troubled past, each of them.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm always interested when directors delete scenes, and I know it's always for pacing.
I'd be kind of glad that he deleted that, because one of the things I liked about the movie was that there was a complete absence of kind of this external authority. It was this cult and him, and that's pretty much it. And
that's
it.
Yeah, I agree.
There was a lot of absence of the outside world in general, for the most part, which I also really liked. It gave it that really kind of cocoon, insular feel.
Yeah, exactly. It, their whole life kind of played into that. They were reclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
And they lived in the middle of the woods. Yeah. There's not really police out there. And by not really, I mean
not really.
Isn't.
Also, one of us has to bring up that we just find out halfway through this movie that Red, in his spare time, is a blacksmith.
He makes a badass fucking
I like
weapon.
that he literally, just for no reason, has all the equipment to make battle axes.
Yes, but he did just show up and go, give me this, badass crossbow thing.
Oh,
so, starting there,
the Reaper.
It's there's shit about him that we don't know. He's got a past, So, as soon as I saw him, smithing a fucking, enchanted Skyrim axe, I was you know what? I just accept this. I don't know. Maybe it'll come out later in the movie, and I didn't even... By the time it got to the point that he was using it and stuff, I was I don't even care.
The axe was amazing. It was the most badass axe ever.
Outside of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Just
I'll give you that. It was definitely heavy metal as fuck. I did love that. I was just this is heavy metal, this axe.
It's very funny that you use that phrase, because one of the films that I thought of a lot while I was watching this was heavy metal. Yeah. And not just the parts that were animated, the whole thing struck me as an extended sequence from a heavy metal sequence, or sequel, that never got made. And that's the kind of, but again, the retro-futuristic vibe. Same thing. Yeah. Heavy metal is weirdly had its foot planted in the past, and yet was very fantasy and science fiction based. And I feel that was probably another influence too. It was very cool. The whole vibe, the aesthetic was there.
I have to watch that. I in my old house, we used to have this settee with VHSs in it. My dad loved heavy metal, so I always remember looking at it with the girl with the bra and stuff on the front, and I'd be I don't know if I'm supposed to be watching this movie.
I mean, it's not for children. It's not a child's animated movie. It is very adult.
I saw it when I was younger, but I don't remember it. I saw it when I was far too young, as most movies that I've seen. The only thing I will say with the axe, I was kind of sad that he didn't use it as He only
It
really...
was kind of secondary.
Yeah, like, he used it, like, once or twice, maybe?
Yeah, but they set up that one really nice shot with it that I feel like was the whole reason that they put it in the movie, and that was that silhouette from the side of the axe, like, flying into Buddy's skull. Like, that was,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's literally, he wrote the axe into the movie just to do that shot.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
More than likely, that's 100% why.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's one of the things I love about this movie, is it seems like a lot of, like, set pieces that he's just stringing together, and I didn't mind it. I did not care at all.
I really loved, like, the fonts when they'd have, like, a title. Also, they don't even say what the movie is until 45 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, I love
She's
that.
dead before the
Yeah.
title comes up. Like,
Exactly.
But
I love just, like, the fonts, and there's one that's, like, all, like, glittery and stuff, and I was like, oh, it doesn't fit, but it does. Like, it so much doesn't fit that it does fit.
I don't know if any of you guys got that vibe, but we talked about them coming to the house and burning her in front of him. And I think about, I can't think of his name, but brother or whatever. Jeremiah's kind of like second in charge. Him, that whole...
Brother Swan, yes.
Yes, Swan.
Brother Swan. That whole scene, did that give anyone else? All I thought about was the invitation. It gave me so much Invitation vibes.
I didn't think about the invitation once.
Oh, I did, like, the cult, but, like, that guy, it was, like, this, like, older, like, 40
like
bald guy.
Yeah, I can
It's like
see that.
ride or die. Also, the house, it's, like, all glass windows.
Just like the invitation.
Just like the invitation.
I didn't draw the comparison.
You know, I don't think there is, like, any purposeful. In my mind, it really brought those vibes to me. I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of the invitation.
Weren't we talking about cults last time?
I know.
And now
maybe we just should start a cult podcast.
Yeah, we're drawn to cult.
Number 10. Spin-off podcast.
Cult podcasts. Yeah.
I think cults are freaky.
You think cults are freaky?
Cults are scary because they draw people in, and I don't know. Bad shit happens.
Yeah, is it that they draw people in who are vulnerable in some way? And yeah, that's why. Because then you're like, what would happen to me if I was vulnerable? Would I be susceptible to that? Yeah, no, it's. But that's what's so scary and like interesting about like novels and shows and movies that deal with that. And, you know, you go there, but for the grace of God, go I. Right? Like, if I was in a different circumstance, would I be susceptible to that? Because you look at it and go, this person is nuts, but you're like, you know what? If the wrong turn of your life happened, would you end up in that unexpected space?
And it's so much about like charismatic leaders that can like really play on those vulnerabilities and like give you what you need psychologically in your life at the moment, but they're fucked. Yeah, it's just... Cults are super interesting.
Look out for the cult podcast where we'll talk more about it.
We should do one about every cult.
Again, every episode now is a backdoor pilot to our next podcast.
It's true.
I think another important thing to bring up was that amazing head crushing at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. I was like, whoa, he's strong.
Yeah, I was like, geez, this LSD is...
Yeah, really.
Going crazy.
It's a hell of a drug.
I also love his kitchen because I had written down, I think I said to Rowan, whoa, is this Mandy or an episode of Hoarders? Like, it was really bad. Talk about psychological
Oh, you mean with
damage.
like the coke everywhere?
What?
I don't know what kitchen you're talking about.
Oh, his kitchen. It was a fucking mess. There was
okay.
shit everywhere, piled on top of each other.
Okay.
My family are, they say they're not, but they're hoarders. And it's, like, triggering to me. So anytime I, like, see a hoarder situation, I'm just like, ugh.
She can't handle it.
I can't handle it.
I'm getting there. But actually, now that I brought it up, I should have said this back at the beginning when we were talking about it. Like, I said that whole swath of the first like act of the movie was my favorite scene, but my favorite literal 10-second scene in the whole movie was after he kills the porn watching demon biker person.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He grabs this shard of glass off the table that's just covered in what I'm going to call Coke, but because it's retrofuturistic, could have been any kind of drug, and just fucking smears it all over his face. I was like, yes, see, this is it. This is that single, like, I want a gif of that. Like, that's, to me, I looked at that and went, big fucking mood. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I need a whole pot of coffee to get ready for the day, and I just saw that, and I was like, damn, boy, you get it. Like, he needs to get shit done, man. So he's like, fuck it. This could be, pink.
I love how
thinner.
he does. He like has LSD, does that huge fucking thing of coke, and then is like starts smoking cigarettes. And prior to this, you don't see him like doing anything besides drinking alcohol, and he just like all in the span of like 10 minutes just does like a mass amount of drugs.
Well, I mean, they've got to explain the aesthetic of the movie some way, so
that's true.
This is very true. So let's talk about, did we find it scary?
No.
I think this is one of those that's it uses the vocabulary of horror movies, like visual aesthetic vocabulary, and like in terms of tropes, but uses the vocabulary to just put out something that is kind of uniquely its own. I don't think it was scary in any way, shape, or form, but I couldn't take my eyes off of it. And again, it had a lot of the tropes of horror movies and the same sort of structure, but I don't even know what you would classify it as. It's barely even, I don't know.
I think they call it like it's like a revenge. What did they kept calling it? A phantasmagoric.
Oh, absolutely.
Revenge movie. Yeah. What the hell's phantasmagoric movie? I thought that was like a made up word.
No, absolutely not. There's actually this like old computer game called Phantasmagoria. It's like surreal mishmash.
Okay, that makes sense.
I definitely think it's like a kind of a fantasy action first with like horror elements.
But it's funny because I saw John Wick for the first time like maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, and
me too.
I was like, when I saw John Wick, which was before I had watched this film, I was like insanely impressed, and I was like, why have I not seen this before? And it was great, and I love Keanu and everything about it, And again, I thought, oh my god, this movie's so stylish and beautiful. And then I saw Mandy, and I was like, this is just like if it like the people that made John Wick were like, fuck this, let's go on a bender and just see what we can come up with.
Yeah, now that you talk about it, I can kind of see the connection.
But thankfully, a dog doesn't get killed in this movie.
This is true.
True. Just a couple birds.
Yes. Just a couple birds. Now that we talk about it, I did want to bring up two things that I was kind of let down on.
Oh my god.
I know.
They just keep coming for him.
I'm sorry. One, I was expecting a lot more Nicolas Cage craziness.
Okay, me too, but
everyone built this up, like they promoted this as like, this is the film Nicolas Cage goes ape shit in. Anyone I know that saw it is like, oh, it's amazing. This is like how we want Nicolas Cage.
But I think maybe how you want Nicolas Cage and how everybody else wants Nicolas Cage might be different. Because I read that it was like the movie of his career, which like maybe.
I mean, those are some big words, first of all.
Yeah. But I know you wanted him to be doing the crazy faces.
I wanted it just like amped up a little bit.
I think he was great in it.
And the other thing, and I don't know why I expected it, because I didn't expect it out of Beyond the Black Rainbow, but I feel like it also was, I expected it to be a little gorier. I expected it to be a little more violent, because they kind of, when they promoted it, I remember the trailers coming out, and like, we're seeing Nicolas Cage covered in blood, and like, it's this like heavy metal, neon colored, like action horror movie. And so I just expected it, I think, to be a little more violent. I'm not saying it's necessarily not a negative thing. I just kind of had those expectations built.
Yes, I was going to say, everything that you're saying is like, you had the bar set like way up on the top of a fucking skyscraper somewhere.
Exactly. You thought it was going to be total full out insanity.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I mean,
it was still pretty fucking crazy.
I think it was adequately violent.
Yeah, I mean, it's no Dead Alive, but,
No.
And I think he was Yeah, I mean, I think the role could deal with a couple more crazy faces, because he was in that role. He could have done them. But I'm very much happy with how it turned out.
Well, I'm glad that you are.
How do you feel about that, Mike?
In general, with how Nicolas Cage handled it?
Yeah.
Well, I was actually very happy with it. I felt like he had to earn his go crazy, and that slow burn at the beginning was him earning it. It was him building up to it. And I was glad that it wasn't as over the top as I thought it was going to be. And I knew it was going to, like, I didn't know. I had a feeling that it was going to kind of, like, set a mood and then snap, obviously, because you had to have the revenge moment. But I don't know. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was exactly what I wanted from him. It was exactly what I wanted from the role. I also loved the shirts that he wore during the movie. I'm just saying.
Yes.
There's also quite clearly a part where he snapped, which was my favorite Nicolas Cage moment, of him in the bathroom drinking the bottle of vodka.
He does do some faces.
And it's not just the faces, it's like the grunts and the screams.
Oh yeah, him putting like alcohol over the like giant stab wound in his stomach. Like, okay.
Like that it's gonna make it all better. Yeah, like that scene was exactly what I wanted. Just stretch it out to 2 hours.
I think that might have been like too much if that had been the case.
I'm sure it would be. It's an unrealistic expectation. And the problem is if you had a 2-hour long movie just that, it probably wouldn't be good.
It wouldn't have been.
It would be garbage.
And then I complain for a different reason.
It's true.
You're just never satisfied. That's it. We accept that about you.
Exactly. So do you guys want to get into rating this?
Absolutely.
All right. Xylia, you're the birthday girl. I think you should go first.
Birthday woman, thank you.
Birthday woman, excuse me.
I'm 30 now, so
the dirty
I'm not
30.
a girl anymore.
Not a girl, not quite a woman. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Are you now, to remind everyone, because we never remind anyone that we did add another category, another rating.
Yeah.
So nay, okay, yay, or slay.
I'm going to give Mandy slay of the utmost regards.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. You're usually the holdback there when we're blowing our wad all over a movie.
It's true. I feel like Rowan's gonna be that person this time.
I think he'll be surprised.
I like loved it. I like can't wait to watch it again. I feel like I'll love it even more when I watch it again. It was just a visual delight. As I've said, like the score is amazing. It looks amazing. Those are the two main things I love about movies. Mm-hmm. And the plot was simple, but adequate. I think it carried itself through, and Nicolas Cage, like, what can go wrong?
Can you just make your bio on Instagram a visual delight?
But you are also a visual delight anyway.
Oh, thanks.
Mike, what do you think?
Oh, an absolute slay. It fucking slays. Obviously me and X have a similar aesthetic film-wise. Like, we love brooding score and candy-coated color schemes and really great visuals and like
beautiful architecture,
exactly.
Interesting stuff.
Beautiful gowns. But yeah, and the kind of skeletal plot to me was a huge service to the movie, even though it was 2 hours long. And like I said, this thing stretches. Like, before I started watching it, I honestly thought, like, the little that I know about this movie, it'll probably be like an 85 or 90 minute movie. But like, for something with such a skeletal plot, I found it riveting, and I think if they had added any more plot to it, that it would be confusing. You can't have too much going on narratively in a, as they said, phantasmagoric, fucking drugged out massacre movie. If they had put any more narrative into it, I would not have been into it, and it would have got lost, and I wouldn't have been paying attention to it. I just think everything they did was a brilliant choice. So it absolutely slays my life, and I cannot wait to watch it again. And I'm really glad that I put it off, because I like savored it, and it was like a delicious candy.
Yes. What about you, Rowan?
All right. So Xylia's just, I feel the glares. I feel the judgment.
I'm not doing anything.
The anticipation. I am going to give it a yay.
What?
I know.
Oh my god.
Everything, now, let me give my reasoning so, our Instagram and everything there's not riots.
I mean, I think I might riot.
So let me give my reasoning for yay. So this movie visually is everything I adore in a film. The coloring, just everything. The pacing, I love a slow burn. The soundtrack is epic. I love the soundtrack. I love the performances. But as I was watching it and once I finished it, I thought to myself, as I said, Beyond the Black Rainbow is probably one of my all-time favorite movies of his. That, to me, is a Slay 80 Infinity pluses.
Okay.
So my thought process was, I do love this movie, but I don't love it as much as I love Beyond the Black Rainbow. So they don't...
What if they had nothing to do with each other?
But this is what I'm saying. If it wasn't the same director, I still like that movie better. So I'm saying...
Let me just think of all the movies Rowan has given us Slay.
No, I think the main takeaway from this entire episode is that every notion that Ro has about this movie is completely colored by his expectations before he even started watching it. That's really all he needs to say is.
See, this is the issue.
Expectations.
This is the issue. Xylia should be proud of me because she's the one that yells at us that everything's a Slay.
But this is such a Slay.
But what I'm saying, so I was looking at it, I'm like, do I like this film? Do I think this film is on a...
You would have given Sharknado a friggin' Slay, but you won't give this one.
Well, we haven't reviewed that yet, so...
We don't
yet. Oh my God.
Yet. A yay plus. It's a strong yay plus. It's teetering on the Slay.
No, cut this pluses out.
Okay, so it's a yay to me. I think everyone should see this film. I will probably watch it a ton, but it's
just
not
wants Mandy cut out of Mandy.
Yeah,
let's be honest, bro. That's just, you want that whole part cut out. You just want Mandy cut out of it.
You want
it to just be called Red.
I've showered it with praise. I literally love everything about it, but I really was trying to, say, should it be in the top of the tops of film?
I'm literally gonna go back and review the ones you've given us Slay because there's some bad ones.
There's a Twitter post coming that the statistics on yays and nays.
Yeah.
This will be the time Xylia finally posts the Excel spreadsheet for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Exactly. In disguise.
The receipts. She's got the receipts.
I'm sticking to it though. I give it a strong yay. I think everyone should see it multiple times. I love the film. Do not let that detract.
I would go and live in this movie if I could.
So would I. I love this movie. There's other movies that I love more, and I was trying to be more objective.
It's really interesting how subjective taste in movies are.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You could give total trash a Slay.
Xylia is hateful about this.
No, this is the movie that divorced them. This is
tomorrow.
This is gonna be played as Exhibit A in their divorce proceedings.
It's true.
The last 5 minutes of this podcast episode. I respect it though. I gotta say, I thoroughly I respect that Ro doesn't want to push it over the edge for whatever reason. I totally respect that because,
like I said,
he has a set of criteria that it did not quite
Slay.
Unfortunately, the criteria doesn't apply to every movie, just this one because it happens to be associated in his mind with a different one.
I have given slays to movies I think deserve slays.
It's a sliding scale. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's fluid.
I mean, and it's teetering. I may have given this a Slay tomorrow. I don't know. I say it's on the cusp. So let's get into the budget game.
Okay, I have to admit, I can't play this. I can't play how much it was made. Mike's gonna have to guess because I accidentally saw it online.
Well, first, before we get into the budget game, let me just talk about our social media. Follow us on social media.
Because that's fun.
No, well, if you want to find out the news, if me and Xylia get divorced, it's going to be posted on the It's Lace podcast first, obviously.
True.
So make sure...
Before our family.
That's right. Make sure to go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr. I think that's all.
YouTube.
Pretty much anywhere you can... Yeah,
YouTube.
Anywhere that there's people.
Yeah, It's
Online.
Lace Podcasts. Also, if you have us on Apple Podcasts, make sure to go give us a rating and write a review if you'd like, because that helps us get up in the charts. And
we want to know what you think. No one has told us anything. No one has given us critical feedback.
yeah, we need like critical feedback, all that good stuff. Only critical feedback that's positive, though.
No, listen, I
Oh my
100% would agree if somebody posted saying, like, tell that Mike fucker to stop snorting so much.
Or
I would
laugh
deserve
so
it.
much.
It's a valid criticism. I can take criticism.
Let's get into the budget game that Xylia is not playing.
I'm only not guessing the first thing.
Okay.
I don't know the rest.
So, Mike,
Okay,
how
budget-
much do you think it costs?
$60 million
To make?
to make.
You already know this.
Okay.
Is that what you said?
Guys, listen, money, numbers, no. This is my weak point.
Xylia already knows how
I
much.
already know how much it costs to make.
So, Mike, you obviously are the winner because you're the only one playing, so you're in
Whoa,
luck.
by default.
So
listen, I will take a default win, my friend, okay?
So this movie costs $6 million.
$60 million. Jesus Christ.
Pretty good for what it was.
You were
$6 million.
Yeah, you were only off by times 10.
Yeah.
$54 million. But now, my question is, did it even make that much?
I know, that was my
Like,
question,
if
because I actually don't know this.
So here we go. How much do you think it made, Xylia?
Yeah, I'm not answering this.
$12.3 million.
12 point. That's specific. Mike.
No, I've already embarrassed myself, so I'm just going to sit this out, and I'm going to go...
you have to guess.
X is going to win this by default.
No, you guess, because you
have to
may
guess.
get it.
Okay, $42 million.
$42 million. So X will win this.
See, it's just constant embarrassment. Me and money.
This only made $1.4 million.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
that's unsurprising. Sad, but unsurprising. They definitely
Well,
lost
I
money.
believe this had a very limited theater
Yeah.
release. I don't really think it got mass theater.
I feel like in Canada, I probably went to like Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver.
Yeah. Shudder bought the exclusives
Yes,
to it,
it's on
rights
there.
to it, so it is considered a Shudder exclusive.
We love Shudder.
An interesting note,
Sponsor us.
yeah, that's right, sponsor us, Shudder. It played at Sundance and Cannes, and at Cannes, it got a 30-minute standing ovation at the
Jesus.
end.
Girl. I'm
It was
impressed.
very, very well received at Sundance and Cannes. But yeah, so that's why I didn't make a whole bunch of
Was
money.
Nicolas Cage there?
I have no idea. Probably
I would give it a 30-minute standing ovation if he was there.
just to him.
No, to everybody.
Okay.
But if he wasn't there, she'd just clap lightly and stay seated. Check her phone.
Yeah,
You're-
and then you know when you like you're clapping for so long, but everybody's still clapping, and then it's just like, okay, when are we gonna fucking stop? It would be like that.
And you're like, what are my hands doing? They become like dissociated from your body, and you're like, you can't feel them anymore. And it's like, I need
Yeah.
to stop clapping. Like, I don't know how to clap anymore. You forget how to clap. It's like when you say a word too many times and it loses its meaning.
it becomes weird, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah, like you
what?
clap for so long that like you go, how am I still clapping? Why am I doing this? Like, I'm not even moving my hands. They're just, yeah, it's
Exactly.
like a dissociative state.
So I guess it is important for us to talk about our next review, and you guys both look lost. You guys know?
No, I know.
what the
I know
name-
what it is.
You do.
Yep.
So the next review is going to be quite different, and
Rowan will claim this was his idea, but it wasn't.
it was a group agreement.
It was actually my idea.
So I would say expect it to be a little longer of an episode, but our next episode is going to be coming out in the month of December, the holiday season. So we are going to kind of celebrate not only Christmas coming, but also the release of the new Black Christmas film, which will come out only a couple days after we release our next episode.
11th, I think
it's the 13th.
Could be.
Yes, you know what? The new Black Christmas film comes out Friday the 13th.
Oh, another Friday the 13th, so close? Oh.
Yes. So, I kind of just gave it away. We're going to be reviewing Black Christmas, but not just one Black Christmas. We're going to be reviewing 2 Black Christmases. We are going to be reviewing the original as well as the 2000 remake. And we are going to, talk about what one we like more. And
I'm excited for this comparison. Also, I've never seen the original.
Oh my god, it's one of my favorites. Spoiler alert.
It was filmed, yeah, really. And it was filmed in Toronto, so I'm interested.
Yes, it should be very, very interesting. Yeah, and our first kind of comparison and contrast. Something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that university exam that you hate writing.
That's right.
Compare and contrast.
And another spoiler alert, when we do our Black Christmas episode, I will be doing my very best Margot Kidder sorority sister impersonation, which means that I'm going to be hammered for the entire episode. So have fun with that, everybody.
Good luck.
Oh, and I will only be drinking small liquor bottles.
But yeah, so hopefully you tune in for that and are getting excited for Black Christmas, all of them. Before we end the show, though, this is a good place for us to talk about the Patreon quickly. So if you're like, you know what, I hate Black Christmas, the films, all of them. I just hate Christmas, bah humbug, all that. You can pick a film for us to watch by joining the Patreon, becoming a horror hound at patreon.com/itslayspodcast. There's lots of cool things you can get. Thank you cards, pick a movie, shout outs, t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. So
thank you cards.
Yeah, thank you cards.
Colton,
Xylia hasn't finished yours.
It's in the process.
And Colton's picked a film that we're going to be doing here, I believe, at the beginning of the new year.
Yes, yeah.
So
kicking off the new year.
Yeah, and Ashton, we did Ashton's pick of Evil Dead, so you could be next and pick out a film for us to review. So, like I said, patreon.com/itslayspodcast. Check it out. Be a horror hound like us. I think that's everything. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? No?
No.
So, as always, I am the ever so sick Rowan.
Bye, it's Xylia.
And this is the not sick Mike. Well, only in the head.